All right, good morning, everybody. It is day number 5 on my Grandpa and I Southwest/Colorado road trip. We just got breakfast here at Whataburger, and guess what we're going to be doing today?
I think we're going to be doing a lot of filming in the mountains and stuff. We didn't really have a set itinerary today, so...
Yeah, so we're actually going to be going up into the mountains and seeing a lot of 14ers, and I mean a lot of them, including the highest 14er in Colorado and the Rocky Mountains, which is Mount Elbert. So I was actually in this area in 2020 and 2021, but unfortunately a lot of these videos were not 4K at the time, so I'm actually going to be re-recording a lot of these videos into 4K. And then we're also going to be looping back around to Denver and then heading north from there. We got a special surprise for my grandpa later in the day when we go to Buc-ee's for the first time. Yes, Buc-ee's is now here in Colorado, so exciting stuff.
Yeah, I've never been to a Buc-ee's before. I hear they're pretty big. It's a pretty big place. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a little overwhelming, I think, for you, but it's overwhelming in a good way, I think.
Yeah, that's all right. It'll be fun.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of scenery that you haven't seen yet for the first time today. So are you excited to see that?
Yeah, I am, actually.
All right, you ready to hit the road?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll be honest, when planning this trip, the 5th day was kind of a wild card day, and I didn't really have any set itinerary for what my grandpa and I were going to be doing on this particular day of the trip. I literally came up with the plan earlier today when we were going to Whataburger. I was just thinking, I filmed a lot of videos from 2019 and 2020 before I filmed videos in 4K when I still had my old camcorder, and a lot of them were on these routes that we were taking on this particular day of the trip, so it was just really nice to go back and refilm everything in 4K. And on top of that, my grandpa has never seen the areas that we were going to be passing through on this particular day of the trip either, so it was just really cool to bring my grandpa to some parts of Colorado that he's never been to, and to see some of the tallest mountains in the lower 48 as well, in the Rocky Mountains. After leaving Colorado Springs, my grandpa and I begun our journey out towards Buena Vista along US Route 24. As you begin to climb up into the mountains, you get really amazing views of Pikes Peak, which we were reminiscing about our time driving up to Pikes Peak the previous day, and it's just really awesome to see this different perspective of Pikes Peak from down here compared to when we were on top of the mountain the previous day. After ascending up into the mountains, we eventually made our way into Teller County and the city of Woodland Park. After passing through Woodland Park, we got one last view of Pikes Peak before we continued our journey up into the mountains here along US 24, and then we eventually reached Ute Pass there in the town of Divide, which is one of many mountain passes that we crossed on this particular day of the trip. After passing through a number of small towns there along US 24 as we continued our drive west, we eventually entered Park County and then eventually crossed our second mountain pass of the day, which was Wilkerson Pass. After crossing Wilkerson Pass, we then passed through the massive South Park grassland, which is one of the highest elevation grasslands in the United States and the world, and is even home to the headwaters of the South Platte River. We eventually made our way over to US 285 and then turned left to continue our journey on US 24, and then we reached the summit of Trout Creek Pass.
All right, so my grandpa and I are here at the summit of Trout Creek Pass here along US 24 and US 285 here at the border of Chaffee and Park counties. So this sign is pretty infamous because it's actually lists the incorrect elevation. It's actually off by about 140 feet. And there have been numerous attempts by people to try to get Colorado DOT to change the sign and put the correct elevation on it. The actual elevation of this pass is about 9,490 feet. And this sign right here says it's about 9,346 feet.
I don't understand what the big deal is about this sign being off. I don't think it affects people in the least. Why are people getting so wound up over a sign being wrong? I just don't get it.
Well, apparently people care enough about it to put it on its official Wikipedia page, so...
Well, that's fine. I think there's a lot of other issues they could be worrying about than worrying about a stupid sign that's off by 100 feet or so.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one, but from me personally, Colorado DOT, please update the sign and put the correct elevation on it, please.
The main goal for today was to basically see as many 14ers as we possibly could. And this particular trip you could take along US Route 24 here in the Arkansas River Valley passes by more 14ers than any other place in the United States. As we begun our descent into Buena Vista from Trout Creek Pass, our first set of 14ers were becoming plainly visible with Mount Princeton dominating the horizon. We pulled into a scenic pullout here just outside the town of Buena Vista as we were coming into town here along US Route 24. In the distance is the Sawatch Range, which contains more 14ers than any other mountain range in Colorado and the United States. 15 of the 53 Colorado 14ers are found here in the Sawatch Range alone. This particular section of the range is known as the Collegiate Peaks because many of the 14ers here are named after famous universities back east. There's plenty of information plaques here that go over the history of the area as well as many of the mountains that you can see in the distance. From south to north, here are a list of the 14ers that you can see from this scenic pullout. Here we're looking at Mount Shavano, which sits 14,231 feet. And this mountain right here is Mount Antero, which sits 14,276 feet above sea level. Right here is Mount Princeton, which sits 14,197 feet above sea level. And what makes Mount Princeton unique is the fact that it is directly west of the town of Buena Vista and is also one of the largest mountains in Colorado by volume. Mount Princeton definitely stands alone compared to its other Collegiate Peak brethren. Right here we're looking at Mount Yale, which is only 1 foot shorter than Mount Princeton and stands 14,196 feet above sea level. And right here we're looking at both Mount Harvard and Mount Columbia. Mount Harvard is the center of this mountaintop right here, and then off to the left you can see Mount Columbia just behind it.
All right, Grandpa, we're just outside of the town of Buena Vista here in Chaffee County, and in the distance there is the Sawatch Range, which contains more 14ers than any other mountain range in Colorado. We literally have about 5 or 6 14ers that we're looking at right here. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome out here, looking at all these 14ers. I know some of them are named after colleges.
A lot of them, yes. So this section right here of the Sawatch Range is known as the Collegiate Peaks because a lot of them are named after universities. Right there you can see Mount Princeton. Right there you can see Mount Yale. Right over there you can see Mount Harvard and Mount Columbia.
Yeah.
And then of course to the south over there you could see Mount Antero and then Mount Shavano farther to the south over that way. Like I said, they're all 14ers, and Colorado has the largest collection of 14ers of any U.S. state. There's over 50 peaks here in Colorado that are over 14,000 feet, and 15 of them are going to be within this range right here.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. That's a lot of 14ers.
After leaving the scenic pullout right there, we began to make our way into the town of Buena Vista. US 285 leaves us behind and starts heading south towards the San Luis Valley, while US 24 makes a right turn and heads in a more northerly direction, even though it's still signed as an east-west route north towards Leadville. And I just love how Mount Princeton acts as the perfect backdrop for the town of Buena Vista because it's just really awesome how it just sits right there in the background of this town. Man, I'm just jealous of the people that live here that get to wake up to these views every single morning. My grandpa and I made our way through the town of Buena Vista and then just continued north and west, I guess technically, along US Route 24. And then we just stopped to look at all of the 14ers. And one thing I really like that Colorado DOT does is they put the name of the mountain, the elevation, and they have a sign that points right directly at the mountain. I really wish other states would do this, but it's just really awesome that Colorado DOT does this here along US 24 because these are some of the highest peaks in the entire state after all. Right here, just north of Buena Vista, you get really awesome views of Mount Yale, which of course is named after Yale University, which is the third oldest institution of higher education in the United States and is located in New Haven, Connecticut.
All right, so right out there in the distance is Mount Yale, which is named after Yale University in Connecticut. And it is only 1 foot shorter than nearby Mount Princeton, which a lot of people like to bring rocks up to the summit of each mountain to make the other one taller, which I think is kind of funny, but...
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I guess it's probably people that have gone to those schools or live in those states,
Yeah.
where the Ivy League schools are. But that's, yeah, that is pretty funny though.
If you keep driving just a few minutes north or west along US Route 24, you'll run into Mount Harvard, which is the third highest point in Colorado and is also the fourth highest mountain in the contiguous United States. Mount Harvard is named after Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and is the oldest institution of higher learning in the United States.
All right, Grandpa, out in the distance there is Mount Harvard, which is named after Harvard University in Massachusetts. So Mount Harvard here in Colorado is the third highest point in all of Colorado, just after Mount Massive and Mount Elbert to our north.
Yeah, it's another 14er, and it's pretty neat to see these all here. Right there.
Yep. Pretty cool how we're going to be seeing the first, second, and third highest points in Colorado here in the span of 30 minutes.
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
All right, ready to continue north?
Yeah, let's go.
If you keep heading north or west along US Route 24, you'll eventually run into Mount Elbert, which is the highest mountain in Colorado and the Rocky Mountains, and the second highest mountain in the contiguous United States after Mount Whitney in California. And believe it or not, despite being the highest mountain in Colorado, it's actually one of the easiest 14ers to climb in the state. And one thing that's really cool about Mount Elbert is if you look just to the north, to the mountain on the right, it is Mount Massive, which is the second highest point in Colorado and the Rocky Mountains, and the third highest point in the contiguous United States. Unfortunately, there's no road sign pointing out Mount Massive along US Route 24, so Mount Massive sits 14,428 feet above sea level, which makes it 12 feet shorter than Mount Elbert. And the sign there for Mount Elbert lists it at 14,433, but most measurements have the mountain listed at 14,440 feet.
All right, so my grandpa and I are here in front of the two highest mountains in Colorado. That's Mount Elbert right there on the left, which is the highest point in Colorado and the Rocky Mountains, and second highest point in the contiguous U.S. after Mount Whitney in California. And just off to the right over there is Mount Massive, which is the second highest point in Colorado. So man, what do you think just seeing these mountains right here and just seeing the highest mountain in Colorado? What are your general thoughts on seeing it?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's, like I said, you got the highest and the second highest right here, plus all the other 14ers in the area, so it's pretty cool.
So how does Colorado's highest point stack up to other state high points that you've seen?
Aesthetically, I think California's Mount Whitney has a lot better looking, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it's a different type of material.
Yeah.
Rock is what I'm trying to say too.
Mm-hmm. But still, it's pretty cool to see the highest point in all of the Rocky Mountains. Like, this is literally the highest point of all the Rocky Mountains right here. So
yeah, it is cool. It's neat.
After leaving behind the views of Mount Elbert and Mount Massive, my grandpa and I made our way north towards the city of Leadville, which, believe it or not, is the highest incorporated city in the United States and sits 10,152 feet above sea level. Leadville is known as the Cloud City and the 2 Mile High City. I passed through the Leadville area in 2019, and it was just really cool that my grandpa was with me this time around to check out some of these places that he's never seen before, and just really getting his reaction and seeing some of these places for the first time was just really cool in my opinion. Leadville was originally founded during the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, and then later it became a big silver mining town here in the Rocky Mountains. And believe it or not, Leadville at one point was the second largest city in all of Colorado, just behind Denver. Driving through Leadville makes it feel like you're passing through a history. Let me tell you folks, Leadville is definitely one of the best preserved mining towns out there, and don't let the high elevation scare you. It's definitely a really cool place to visit, and I highly recommend checking it out and just walking the historic downtown and checking out many of the historic buildings here, as many of them are on the National Register of Historic Places. After passing through Leadville, we finally left US 24 as we continued straight onto Colorado State Route 91 and followed it over Fremont Pass. I originally drove Fremont Pass for the first time in 2019, and it was just really cool driving over this again here in 2024 and filming it in 4K for you guys to see. Fremont Pass is one of the easiest mountain passes to cross in Colorado due to its very gentle slopes on each side of the pass, and is also one of the highest paved roads in Colorado as well. I believe it's in the top 10, and it's also one of the highest paved crossings of the Continental Divide as well. After crossing over Fremont Pass, we made our way back over to Interstate 70, where we briefly merged on to continue our journey over towards the Dillon area, where we would eventually meet US 6 and depart I-70 and then begin our journey over Loveland Pass. Before heading over towards Loveland Pass, though, we did stop at a scenic pullout here near the town of Frisco, which overlooked Lake Dillon and the surrounding area. This scenic overlook right here overlooks the Dillon Reservoir, which is a recreation reservoir here in the Rocky Mountains and is popular all year round. The Dillon Reservoir is owned by the city of Denver and is Denver's main water supply. If you look out to the east from the Dillon Reservoir out towards the Loveland Pass area, you get to see two 14ers, which are Gray's and Torrey's Peak respectively. Gray's Peak is located on the right and Torrey's Peak is located on the left right there. Gray's Peak is actually the highest summit of the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains and is the 10th highest mountain in the state overall. One thing I really like about this view area too is that it has great information about the Eisenhower and Johnson tunnels there along I-70 and provides really great information of the construction history of those tunnels.
This is a really nice scenic view here on I-70 right by the Dillon Reservoir outside of the town of Frisco, with just a lot of great information about the area right here and the Eisenhower tunnels just down the road.
Yeah, this is a beautiful area here. We're just at the end of, looks like the end of the bloom.
Yeah.
And, but it's still pretty. A couple 14ers here and one 13er. There's just a lot of, it's a beautiful area right here with the lake and everything.
Yep. So how did you enjoy driving through the Leadville area and over Fremont Pass?
It was great. I mean, I've never been over it. First time I've seen Leadville. Leadville is a pretty neat mining town. And going over the pass was awesome. I've never been over these areas.
Yep. So you ready to take a trip down memory lane and go over Loveland Pass, which is the first video I ever released to YouTube way back in 2011?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it'll bring back some memories, yeah.
Yep. All right, let's head over to Loveland Pass.
After visiting the scenic pullout there along I-70, we got back on I-70 briefly and then got off there where US 6 splits off from I-70 to head towards Loveland Pass. Loveland Pass is the highest year-round mountain pass in the United States and is the official bypass of the Eisenhower Tunnel. This road is kept open year-round despite being nearly 12,000 feet in elevation. This is because, as a bypass of the Eisenhower Tunnel, in case of emergencies or closures, the only way to get around the tunnel is going over Loveland Pass. Loveland Pass is always going to have a special place in my heart because it is the very first video I ever uploaded to YouTube on August 3rd, 2011. I was 15 years old at the time, and I could not even imagine what my YouTube channel was even going to be at the time and what it's become today. So if you guys have been watching me, whether you started all the way back in 2011 or you just watched me recently or somewhere in between, I just want to thank you all so much for watching my content over the years. It's just really awesome that you guys have supported me for this long, and then I'm still doing this here as a young adult, and it's just really awesome that you guys can just follow along with me through all these journeys with me and my grandpa and like other people that I just so happen to bring along for the journey as well. I always like to say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and what an incredible journey it has been here on YouTube, and I'm so glad so many of you enjoy watching what I do and just bringing you guys along with me. It means more to me than I'll ever get to express here on this microphone for you guys through my camera and everything like that. You guys mean everything to me, and I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart.
All right, my grandpa and I made it to the top of Loveland Pass here in Colorado, which is the highest point on US 6 and is also the Continental Divide and is also the highest year-round mountain pass in the United States. That is because it is the official bypass of the Eisenhower Tunnel, which is just down below over there on I-70.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been up here. I think you were 15 years old the last time we came through here.
As a unit, yes.
Yeah.
I was up here in 2019 to take a trip down memory lane, but this video will always hold a special place in my heart because this is the very first video I ever uploaded to YouTube. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And we've come a real long way since then, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
We're a lot older now, aren't we?
Aren't we? Yeah.
And surprisingly, despite the fact that we're just below 12,000 feet, it really isn't that cold up here, even though it's the beginning of October.
Yeah, it's not bad, really.
Looking out towards the east from Loveland Pass, you get really great views there out towards the Atlantic side of the Continental Divide, and you can even see Interstate 70 and US 6 down below you right there. As previously mentioned, Loveland Pass is the official bypass of the Eisenhower Tunnel, so if you are carrying hazardous material, or if you're over 13 feet 11 inches, you are required to use Loveland Pass at all times of the year and not go through the Eisenhower Tunnel. Despite us being nearly 12,000 feet in elevation here in early October, it was actually quite warm when my grandpa and I were up here. I mean, we were in shorts and a t-shirt just fine, even with a little bit of a wind up there at the top of Loveland Pass. And if you look back west into the south from Loveland Pass, you'll get really great views of Gray's and Torrey's Peak, which are very easily accessible there from Loveland Pass. Another fun fact about Gray's Peak is that it's actually the highest point on the Continental Divide here in the United States and is also the highest point on the Continental Divide Trail. After leaving Loveland Pass, we begun our descent down the east side of the pass and eventually made our way back over to Interstate 70, where US 6 merges back onto I-70 here and basically follows it all the way down to the Denver metropolitan area. It took us a little over an hour to drive from the Loveland Pass area there near the Eisenhower Tunnel down to the Denver metropolitan area, and then we basically just drove north from Denver all the way up towards Fort Collins, and Denver has some of the worst traffic in the United States in my personal opinion, and I can say that from experience because every time I visit Denver, I'm always stuck in traffic there.
Alright, so my grandpa and I have made it here to Denver, so guess what our next destination is?
Buc-ee's.
Yep. So I'm extremely excited for you to see this for the first time. It's about an hour to our north. Granted, there's no traffic, but you know, Denver.
Yeah, no traffic.
Yeah, you know, gotta love Denver, am I right?
Yeah.
But anyways, man, if you've never been to Buc-ee's, you really gotta experience it because it is definitely an experience. And hopefully it's not too overwhelming for you, but I'm really excited for you to see it for the first time. For me personally, it's been about 3 years since I've been there.
Yeah, you know, I've heard about it. You've told me about it. I mean, it's just a big, gigantic gas station with a big store, right? A huge store, like almost the size of Walmart or something.
Try Costco.
Oh, well, okay.
Some of these stores are over 70,000 square feet, so
yeah,
they're pretty big.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun to go in there and fool around.
Yep.
See what's there.
All right, we'll see you guys when we get there.
After a slow slog through Denver, which included some really nice skyline views here as we were merging onto Interstate 25, then we also got some really nice stadium views here where the Denver Broncos play here just west of downtown. We eventually made our way north towards Fort Collins.
We're almost to Buc-ee's.
Well, that's good. Interesting to see this place. Never seen one before.
All right, supposedly this place has 116 gas pumps. Do you want to try to take a guess of which one will end up at? You got a 1 in 116 chance of getting it right.
46.
46? I'm going to say 25, since that's the interstate we're on. 25.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll see who's closer.
When Buc-ee's first announced that it was moving to Colorado here just outside the city of Loveland, I was beyond excited, and I was excited to let my grandpa see Buc-ee's for the first time because I absolutely love this place when I visited it for the first time when I was in Texas in 2021. Let me tell you, I was beyond excited to go to Buc-ee's for the first time in 3 years, and I was even more excited to see my grandpa's reaction to Buc-ee's here for the first time here in Colorado. We proceeded to pull into a gas pump where I proceeded to pump some gas into my car for the next day's adventures here in Colorado. Gas prices at Buc-ee's are actually pretty cheap compared to other gas stations around the area, but here in Colorado they were actually about the same price as other gas stations. And one thing I find annoying about Colorado is the fact that their unleaded tier is 85 octane when my car is rated for 87, but 87 is the base octane here where I live in California. Is this an issue for you guys whenever you guys visit the Mountain West? Because it seems like they only have like 85 octane gasoline as their unleaded fuel.
Welcome to Buc-ee's at Johnstown, Colorado. Let's go inside.
All right, Grandpa, we finally made it to Buc-ee's here in Colorado. This place is humongous, to say the least.
Yeah, it sure is. I've never seen so many gas pumps in my life. It's about like, I swear it's a block long where the gas pumps are.
Yeah.
And the store is about almost as big. It's huge.
You ready to go inside and see how much money we end up spending?
Well, let's go inside. We'll see about the money thing.
Buc-ee's was founded in Texas in 1982 and has quickly expanded to become one of the largest and most popular gas station chains in the United States. And as of June 2024, it is the largest gas station chain in the entire world by sheer number of pumps. Most Buc-ee stations have at least 100 fuel pumps and even has the largest convenience store in the entire world, which is over 75,000 square feet. This particular Buc-ee's here in Colorado is over 74,000 square feet and contains 116 gas pumps and 12 electric vehicle charging stations. Buc-ee's has everything and anything that you can possibly imagine for road trips and honestly goes really overboard. They are very well known for their jerky and clean restrooms, and their restrooms have even won some awards with how clean they are. Buc-ee's is the definition of a tourist trap, and they definitely sell anything and everything that you can possibly think of with their logo on it.
So one thing Buc-ee's is known for is their extremely clean restrooms. You, sir, have just used the restroom. What can you say about
you
that?
can probably eat off the floors in there. It's definitely clean, really clean.
Yeah?
Yeah, I never seen so many urinals in my life either.
Believe it or not, my grandpa and I even had Buc-ee's brisket sandwiches for dinner, and stay tuned for Grandpa's food reviews on the brisket sandwich coming here shortly.
They're really well known for their brisket sandwiches.
Well, I'll have to try one and see how good it is.
Buc-ee's is definitely one of those places where they definitely don't make that much money on selling their gas, but they actually make money of what they sell here in the store, which makes total perfect sense when you actually come in here and see what they have to sell and offer. I spent more money here than I would like to admit, and if you can guess the correct amount that I spent here in the store, I'll heart your comment.
So many options here, huh?
Yeah, there is. You can get lost. This reminds me of Costco. You come in here and you'll buy everything. It's crazy, but it's neat. It's a neat store, though.
After spending a good 30 minutes here at Buc-ee's, we made our way back to the car and then eventually made our way back to the hotel for the evening as we concluded day 5 here on our Southwest and Colorado road trip.
All right, Grandpa, what did you think of your first time at Buc-ee's here in Colorado?
It's a pretty neat store. I never seen anything as big, you know. I've never seen that many, like I said before, that many gas pumps in one place. And it's a neat place. You can get everything you need here.
Yep. Like I said, it's like a gas station on steroids.
It sure is.
So you definitely come back here again?
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, I would.
How would you rate it out of 10?
I'll give it a 10.
Especially for the clean restrooms?
Oh, yeah, the restrooms are, you can eat off the floors. It's really good.
All right, time to head to the hotel and conclude day 5 of our road trip. All right, so my grandpa got the brisket sandwich from Buc-ee's and he's eating it for the first time. So what are your general thoughts on the brisket sandwich?
It's good. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're well known for their brisket and their beef jerky and their beaver nuggets.
Yeah, no, it's a good sandwich. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How would you rate it out of 10?
About an 8.
Yeah? You definitely get it again?
Yeah, I get it again. It's good. It's not bad. I might try something different tomorrow, though.
All right. And that's going to conclude day number 5 here on my grandpa and I's road trip here in the Southwest and Colorado. We will see you tomorrow for day number 6.